Hello, hello. I am coming on here today because I've just been thinking quite a bit. It's Mother's Day weekend, and for me, it's definitely something that I treasure a lot. Some of you may know I have shared my story before, and some of you may not. I right now I have two boys. Their ages 5 and 7. And when I was 18, I got pregnant with a boyfriend, and when I was 19, I delivered her and gave her up for adoption. And this has been, I think, over a year ago now that I shared my story and didn't want to be in fear or hide anymore, and I wanted to just be more open about it. So I just kind of I have some notes I've just been working on just to kind of jot some things down. I might be jumping all over the place. Talking about this topic and this subject is very emotional to me. It has so many feelings that go into it, and it is something that it's changed my life. Just some things that I'm going to tell you today. So I'm going to start from the beginning. And like I said, I was dating a boyfriend at the time, and I ended up getting pregnant. And during the time from being pregnant to the time I delivered her, we went through some counseling to kind of decide where we were going to go, if I was going to keep her, if we were going to keep her, if we were going to give her up for adoption. I never had in my mind, abortion was never an option. So going through all of this counseling, I had family members that were very supportive. I had family members that were also very angry at the bad choices that I had made and now being pregnant. And one of the people that was very angry at me was my father. And he told me, screaming at me actually, is if you decide to keep her, you gotta have to move out. I'm not raising you and your child. And at the time, my father was a police officer, and I did nothing, tried to do nothing to either upset my father or my mother. I was very respectful to them. And so hearing these words from my father it was very hard for me. So we went through the counseling, and it wasn't until after I had her that things really, really changed. It was easy to go through the counseling part and to be like, yes, I'm going to give her up, because I still had 1 year left of high school. I had her June 27th, so it was in between my junior and senior year. And so, yes, at the time it was easy for me to be like, yes, I'm going to give her up, because I just don't feel like I could be a proper mother. I still have school left. I have family that I very much treasure, very angry at me. And when I had her, that is when the true feelings started to develop and to show. And so when I had her at the hospital, from the hospital, she went to a foster home. The foster home that she went to actually was a mother whose daughters I went to high school with. I knew she did foster care, so I asked her, do you do it through this counseling service that I was going through? She said yes. So we kind of just arranged it, and so I named her Samantha, and so Samantha went to Martha, or Maria, the foster mom. And so while she was there, it was really nice because I was able to, she went straight from the hospital to there. And it was really nice because whenever I wanted to visit her, I could just go sit with her. If I wanted a visitation to do things and take her out of the home, I had to actually go through the counseling service. So she met us at the counseling service, and then I remember we went to McDonald's. I mean, I didn't care what I was doing. I just wanted to be with her and just hold her and whatnot. So, I remember the day that it was the day was coming where we had to meet at the counselors, because we had picked out the parents while we were going through counseling. I picked parents that were very active. They had a dog. He did hunting. They had a cabin. They had already adopted a boy, so she would have a brother. Just all the things that I didn't know these people, but just from their, rundown of what they were about. So, the time was coming for us to meet up with these parents, and it was, no, I can keep her. I can do this. Like, I can do homeschooling. And then it was, I should give her up. I can't do this. And then it was like the back and forth emotional that was super hard and super painful. So I met up with the parents at the counseling service, and we did they called it the handoff. And from there, I just said to them, I would like to have a picture, just one picture a year, so I can see how she's changing, what she looks like. So I got pictures, packs of pictures from her birthday, from their vacations, just with her and her brother, and up in the cabin. I would get letters, just long, lengthy letters of what she was doing and how she was doing. And I remember getting a kindergarten picture with a lengthy letter, and it was probably a year or two after that, and I didn't get anything. So I went to the counseling service with a little letter that I had written of what I was up to, what I was doing, and I went to the counseling service, and there was a new guy there, and he said they don't want anything from you. They've basically told us that they're cutting off any kind of communication with you. And I was just like, was it something that I did? Was it something that I said? And they're like, no, just sometimes that's what happens. So I'm just going to check my notes. I kind of think I know where I want to go. I just want to tell you the best that I can from remembering. It was so emotional just going through it, and I think about this all the time. And like I said, I did that live video about a year ago, and it is so crazy to hear how many people are going through the same things that I went through and have never told anybody, which I didn't either. So the letter stopped, the picture stopped, and my mom went to my niece's volleyball tournament, and my mom said she always watched so the letter stopped, everything stopped. So they had all of my information, but I didn't have any of theirs. So one day I get a phone call, and it's Samantha's adoptive mother, And she says, I was wondering if you'd like to meet us. I wanted to know if you wanted to meet at this local mall. And so I was like, yes. And at this time, she was around 2 years old. She was around 2. So it had to have been, so it was, when I was getting those letters, because yes, she was very young. So when I was getting the letters and stuff. And so we met at the mall, and her brother was there. And I mean, it was very like, do I touch her? Do I look at her? Like, I just wanted to just swoop her up and just hold her. And so I kind of talked to her for a little bit, and then eventually I held her and we walked around the mall, like just in this little area where my friend came along, and where Martha's mom was and brother. And so there's people walking past, and we're looking at these plants, and I was just talking to her, and this one lady walked past, and she says, oh, I just have to stop and tell you, your daughter is beautiful. And I was like, all I said was, oh, thank you. And I mean, she looked just like me. She had long brown hair. Her tips about this much were black, because when I had her, she had long black hair and it never fell out. The brown hair just came in. Her hair was amazing. So we met at the mall, talked to her. Her brother said, Martha, don't do that. And her mom was like shushing him. And so we then knew she renamed her Martha. And so the years went by, and we stopped, the communication ended. And my mom, like I said, she would go to my sister. She was at my niece's volleyball tournament, and she always looked for Martha. She knew the last name for some reason. She was looking always for Martha. And so she's looking in the little bulletin, and she sees the name, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's here. And she's looking around, and she's scoping the team, the schools, where the school was, and she's looking, and she finds her. So after the volleyball tournament, my mom and my niece and my sister-in-law, they met her, talked to her, and took pictures with her. My niece sent me some pictures with, my sister-in-law sent me a picture with my niece and Martha in it. And my mom called me, and she told me that Martha was asking all types of questions, like, is Holly married? Does she have kids? Where does she live? Like, totally knew about me, and called me Holly, and was just very inquisitive. So at this time, I was dating Steve. It was early in our relationship. And I was like super like, oh my gosh, like I wish I should have been there. And and I was just like super excited. And Steve at the time was like, he's my boyfriend, and he goes, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, do I tell him? Do I say something to him? And I eventually did. On that day, I told him about it, and he didn't really say anything, because none of my boyfriends, nobody knew. Like, I wasn't telling anybody, oh, I had a daughter and I gave her up for adoption. Oh, well, what happened? Like, everybody asks questions. And so I didn't have a story to say anything besides, like, communication was stopped when she was in kindergarten. And then, my mom ran into her when she was at this volleyball tournament. So there was really no story. And so going through life with Steve and meeting his family and moving where I am, out of the Milwaukee area, and I just didn't say anything. And it was, I think it's been 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now. I was at my sister's house in West Allis, and I get a friend request on Facebook from Martha, and it kind of threw me, because I didn't know what I should do. I wanted this for so long, and I'm like, and it's here presenting itself, and I'm scared. So it took me a couple days, actually maybe a couple weeks, and I accepted her friend request. This was like I think it was towards the end of the year, so a couple months later it was Thanksgiving, and we didn't talk through Facebook. We didn't talk at all. And Thanksgiving, I get a message through Facebook saying how thankful she is that we have been reunited and getting to know each other again. So messages like went back and forth here and there, and eventually we exchanged phone numbers. So texting went back and forth, and texting was sometimes very, very involved. It was 1 year on her birthday, and I was messaging her, and I said, you know, happy birthday, I hope you have a great day. And I wanted to call her so bad and tell her I loved her. She was going through life, and she was just going through some struggles, and I just wanted to be there as whomever I could be and be there for her. So we discussed that she was going to come and meet me at my home. We set up a time and day. She came to the house, and we talked like we were friends. We hung out, we talked like we were long lost friends, like we've known each other forever. That's kind of how I am, and her personality is exactly like mine. So we talked and hung out, and we cried. I cried. I don't think she did, but we talked about stuff. She asked me questions, and it was a day that was supposed to be spent within 4 or 5 hours. She wanted to leave, and we were together for pretty much the rest of the day. Every time we are together, we are still in contact with each other, and every time we are together, I don't ever want to let her go. I just want to like swoop her up and just keep her forever. She does not live very far from me. She's about 45 minutes to an hour drive, so she is not very far from me, which is very nice. So my thoughts on Mother's Day are plenty. I think of how things were. I think about life and how it was back then. I think about, you know, just going through the pregnancy and having her, and I mean, that just probably the last week or two has basically run through my mind quite a bit, and it's just interesting. A lot of times I think about what if, and the what ifs are going to kill me if I don't stop, because there's no what ifs. There is only what can. What can I do to be more part of her life? What can I do to love her more and more? Not only am I celebrating Mother's Day tomorrow, but Martha is also celebrating Mother's Day. She is such an amazing and strong person. She has been raising 2 boys that, I mean, it's just, I've talked to her before, and I've just told her, like, I said, you're an amazing mom. Like, you don't have to be like this. Like, you're 23, 24, I think she's 23, and this was like years ago when I said this to her. Like, you don't have to be the way you are. You could be off drinking, you could be off doing whatever. And I just, you know, just to have her back in my life, have us being a family again, is has been truly, truly amazing. And I just have lots and lots of thoughts that are going through my mind, because I was like going to visit my mom tomorrow or tonight and going to be spending time with her, and I'm like, you know what, I want to go and see Martha. Like, she's a mom, I'm a mom. Like, it's just such an incredible time of the year. And it's crazy when people say, oh, it's Mother's Day, you need to celebrate them. Like, I truly believe you need to celebrate mothers more than one day. You need to not just focus on one day being this huge celebration, but spreading it out through the whole entire year. It's super, super important. So life has been pretty interesting, and it's been also very rewarding. I just want to say one thing. When I started having, so after I had her and I went through all these bad relationships, I wanted to have kids. I wanted to know that I could have kids again. And so a lot of times I got sucked into these bad boyfriends thinking that they were the right ones, and just wanted to have kids again. And I'm so thankful that it never happened in my term, in my time. It happened the way it was supposed to. And I got through all those bad relationships and got with Steve, and Steve and I have been together for now 12 years, and I'm grateful to be with him. And when we got married in January of 2009, and I had talked to him, I'm like, I want to have kids right away. She's always been on my mind. So every year on June 27th, I would have it marked on my calendar, Samantha Martha's birthday. She's in my phone as Samantha Martha. She is always going to be my Samantha. Even though her name was changed, she's always going to be that Samantha Ashley that I named her. And having my boys was like the biggest blessing ever. And when family of Steve's, they didn't know about Martha, and they were like, how come we never get to watch them? How come we never do anything that we can watch your kids? And it was crazy, because having her and then having her gone and having that kind of that void and then starting it over, it was like, I mean, to this day, I love them unconditionally. Like, I am such a touchy-feely, lovey person. And I think now, because I've opened up last year, I think they know now that I've had her, and nobody will understand the feelings that I have gone through and that void that I had for so many years. One story, I was with Martha, and when we used to be together, okay, so I'll tell you my story. So we're together, and I said to her, is it wrong that I want to put you on my lap and read you stories? And she's like, no, like, you can put me on my lap and read me stories anytime. Like, I missed that time in our lives. And so I have those feelings. But so when we were together, when we first met, we were trying to get to know each other. We were together. I invited her to family gatherings, and when people would be like, oh, who is that? I'm like, oh, that's my friend Martha and her 2 boys. They're just friends with my 2 boys. And so they just didn't think anything of it. One birthday party, this was before I had revealed, one birthday party, I had Steve's family member say, who's that little boy? He kind of looks like your son. Our 2 youngest are 2 weeks apart. Hers is 2 weeks earlier than mine. same, like they're both the same age. They're just 2 weeks apart. So crazy thing is we were pregnant at the same time and really didn't even know it. So we are together and they're like, who's that little boy? He kind of looks like your son. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just his friend. Maybe they just look alike because they hang out quite a bit. I don't know. So then I did my revealing and my story and just wanted everybody to know. And after everybody, I said it on Facebook when we were together for gatherings, I'd say, oh, so-and-so, this is Steve's family, because most of my family knew. So-and-so, did you meet my friend Martha? Or I said, have you met Martha? And they're like, no, I don't think so. And so I introduced them as, this is my daughter Martha. Martha, this is Steve's cousin or whatever. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. And it feels like this huge weight has been lifted off of my shoulders and my chest. I mean, we hug, we kiss each other on the cheeks. There's constant affection going on. It has been such an amazing journey so far. Yes, we've had tons of other things going on. I plan on doing a couple more series of videos on my adoption and things that we have gone through. So I just want you to keep your eye looking for, I will post it, doing a series. They're probably going to be on the weekends. My weekdays are crazy busy, so look for them, because I will definitely keep you posted on this amazing journey that has completely changed my life and brings a whole new meaning of Mother's Day. So I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching my video, and I want to thank everybody who has given me so much love and support in so many things that I have been going through. And we will definitely I will be definitely posting some more videos, so just keep watching for those and follow me with this amazing, awesome journey. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and happy Mother's Day to you mothers out there.